Everyone, including you, will be completely terrified when XRP hits $20 per coin. However, the issue remains. What will cause XRP to drop to $20 per coin and why? I will begin by discussing something completely crazy. We just made history. For the first time in a long time, retail funds actually outperformed hedge funds. A recent huge departure of hedge funds revealed that short sales were 3 times greater than long sales, with 75% of the volume coming from North American companies. In essence, we witnessed hedge funds giving in to widespread panic in the wake of Trump's tariffs, which caused the S&P 500 to plummet. But oddly, cryptocurrencies actually recovered. The S&P 500 is down 5% today, while we saw cryptocurrencies like XRP rise. In a moment, I'll explain why this is such a huge thing, but basically what we're witnessing at the moment is that the cryptocurrency market is deviating from and unparalleling itself from the stock market, which implies that while the stock market is declining, XRP is rising. For the first time in a very long time, cryptocurrency is accomplishing what it was intended to do. I actually discussed this a few months ago on my former account, saying that people will eventually discover that tariffs are beneficial for cryptocurrencies because they are unmanageable. However, stocks are susceptible to manipulation and manipulation in general. In the crypto realm, decentralization is what I mean when I say manipulated. Price-wise, anything is obviously manipulable, but decentralization is crucial. Therefore, it makes sense that during a period of economic instability, ordinary investors would turn to cryptocurrencies. It's an excellent value store, and you can't modify what you know you're receiving, as opposed to stocks issuing fresh shares and the NYSE or any other trading organization stopping trading. Yes, there are numerous problems there. As you can see, regular investors jumped in like never before, while hedge funds fled. JP Morgan reports that on Thursday, retail investors purchased $4.7 billion worth of equities. Since 2015, this is the biggest daily purchase made by retail investors. Furthermore, the difference between the amount that hedge funds and individual investors are purchasing in the cryptocurrency industry is even more pronounced. Positioning has rarely been as divisive. As can be seen, in general, almost everyone is affected when the markets are frightened. However, retail is saying, "Hey, I'm buying the dip," while hedge funds are selling like crazy right now. From 9:03 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Friday, retail investors sold $1.5 billion worth of stocks. In a span of 2.5 hours, this was the biggest selling ever. It seems that retail has been buying the dip since 2022, but this trend may be quickly changing. Very intriguing. Stocks, cryptocurrency, and equities are being purchased and sold. Magnificent Seven stocks wiped a staggering $991 billion in market capitalization on Thursday. This exceeded the previous record of $759 billion per zero hedge, which was set on March 10th. The Magnificent Seven accounted for 37% of the market capitalization losses on Thursday, as the S&P 500 shed $2.7 trillion. You look at the S&P 500 and notice that it has been bleeding for the past 5 days. It has bled for the past month. It's really uncommon. The S&P 500 has dropped 13.15% in just 1 month. However, here we are. We are in this regulatory environment. Hedge funds are therefore quite unpredictable in this area. They have no idea what the future holds. However, why is retail so optimistic? Because this is the situation. Extreme dread is evident in every market sentiment analysis, such as the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. Extreme fear is measured by the Stock Fear and Greed Index. Everything is displaying intense terror. However, retail purchases are at all-time highs. There has never been anything like this before. I want to be extremely clear about this. This circumstance is similar to a golden goose egg. What we're witnessing at the moment is crazy. As you can see, XRP is currently up 3.21%. I would like to remind everyone that this is what we witnessed the last time we had tariffs, when the actual trade wars were taking place. 3 huge red days were followed by a 1-day 30% decline, and then all of those losses were recovered. We now witnessed a much smaller version of this. We experienced a few red days here, one of a respectable size, and then, we momentarily dropped below $2 before recouping our losses and now trading steadily higher over the course of a day. Really interested. I would now like to know in the comments why you believe that retail is making more purchases than it has in the past. Personally, I believe that Wall Street's manipulation is no longer effective because retail is now uniting and recognizing the kind of game Wall Street is playing. That's what makes the internet so wonderful. More quickly than ever before, we can communicate, disseminate information, and guarantee that everyone is educated. Furthermore, in my opinion, investors are consistently making smarter choices that benefit their portfolios. Furthermore, people aren't actually falling for the deception. People are purchasing on days when Wall Street is making large sales in an attempt to incite market panic. They are also, of course, altering media narratives to try to incite even greater dread. That is simply amazing. Here's the thing. As I indicated briefly earlier, cryptocurrency represents a new financial system that genuinely benefits retail. It's also totally transparent. Everything is on the public ledger, so if somebody is engaging in insider trading, it will eventually be discovered. Yes, you can purchase a cryptocurrency during a pre-sale and subsequently sell it to others, but that isn't the case for cryptocurrencies like XRP that are currently in circulation and not part of a pre-sale. The public ledger contains all of the transactions. Every purchase is visible to us. Every sale is visible to us. Heck, all of the money transfers are visible to us. Everything is out there. So if something is amiss, there are a lot of individuals who look at this data every day, and they can bring it out. I can then discuss it in my YouTube video, which puts a stop to it right then. No more manipulation, please. People are starting to realize this. There is no doubt that the stock market is manipulated. It's confidential. The transactions are not visible to you, only those who are employed by the stock exchanges are able to view that. Retail, however, is unable to recognize that, which is unfair. People are becoming aware of that. The stock markets do, in fact, have emergency stoppage periods. What can a stock do, for instance, if the S&P 500 as a whole drops more than 15% in a single day? They can simply stop trading altogether. Indeed, they have mechanisms in place to accomplish so automatically. That is entirely incorrect. That is completely absurd. They are able to prevent panic selling. That is not decentralized, and it is not in the best interests of all traders. People should be able to sell if they so choose. It's that easy. And for that reason, people are swarming to cryptocurrency. Guys, here's the lovely thing. It will be 24/7 until the entire stock market is tokenized and transacted on a public ledger, whether it be XRP, HBAR, or something else entirely. Each and every transaction on those marketplaces will then be more transparent as a result of that, and this is really what we're anticipating. Having stated that, though, I would like to discuss why I believe XRP will reach $20 per coin. Why, aside from all we've previously discussed, I have a lot of confidence in it. As you can see, cycles in bull markets typically endure a considerable amount of time. It is evident that this is 2020. We haven't had a bull run like this before, right? XRP increased from 24 cents to 62 cents per coin during the election period. That is to say, the price increased by around 3 times. Wonderful, you adore seeing that. As you may recall, this occurred during the election supercycle. Similarly occurred last time, with the exception that XRP had far greater regulatory clarity and other favorable aspects this time around, rather than seeing a threefold increase in price. As a result, it increased from 51 cents to, say, $2.50 a month later, basically a 5x rather than a 3x as it was back here. Of course, and we also observed that there is always a slight correction. Then, in May, there was still another significant rally. In fact, the previous peak of XRP occurred in May 2021, around 6 months following the election supercycle. In my opinion, things will not be the same this time, and I wish to demonstrate my reasoning. There were many questions and issues with XRP back then that have been resolved now. It's evident from looking at other cases such as Solana that she truly peaked much later. You can see that, unlike XRP, which peaked in May 2021, Solana actually peaked in